Akin to and largely responsible for the sweeping changes in our industrial military posture has been the technological revolution during recent decades. In this revolution, research has become central. It also becomes more formalized, complex, and costly. A steadily increasing share is conducted for, by, or at the direction of the federal government. Today, the solitary inventor, tinkering in his shop, has been overshadowed by task forces of scientists in laboratories and testing fields. In the same fashion, the free university, historically the fountainhead of free ideas and scientific discovery, has experienced a revolution in the conduct of research. Partly because of the huge costs involved, a government contract becomes virtually a substitute for intellectual curiosity.
The latest computer models indicate there will not be this catastrophic moment where the Gulf Stream stops or runs backwards, or the North Atlantic freezes over. So it's just going to get worse and worse for everybody. You can only perspire so much. You can only let so much sweat evaporate off you. And then if it gets too hot, you'll die. This is heat stroke and so on. So we are headed toward that for more and more people on Earth. And people say to me, Bill Nye, science guy, what can I do about climate change? And people generally want to hear something akin to recycle your water bottles or something like that. And that's not irrelevant, but that's not going to do it, people. We need big, big ideas. So everybody, what you can do about it is vote. Vote for people who are going to do something about it.
In other words, vote for the commies so they can help us out with the climate. Bill Nye, you fraud, you. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sheep Shear Podcast, where we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only, Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a round of applause for Bill Nye, the science guy, the fraud, in my opinion, the guy who I was forced to watch when I was in middle school and high school. I used to think he was knowledgeable until I realized that he's really just become more or less a paid pimp for the Green Mafia. Welcome to the show. My friends, I wanted to play the clip from Eisenhower to really start off the show today because, look, for those of you who have not listened to his farewell address, I really suggest you go over and you listen to it. I would play the whole thing, but I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'm not going to do that for you. But what I will do is we're going to talk about global warming, and we're going to talk about climate change, whatever they're calling it now. You know, back when I was in middle school, this just kind of shows I'm not even that old. I'm not even that old, and yet I look back and people used to call it global warming. You know, it was global warming, and now all of a sudden it's climate change. You see, the global warming didn't pick up because the whole thing is based off of a fraud, and so what they decided to do was, you know what? We're just going to go with the most vague thing we can possibly come up with so it seems legit, and then we're going to go with that. My friends, look, I'm a conservationist. I think as someone who identifies as a conservative, being a conservationist is what Theodore Roosevelt was. It's what we as conservatives should be. The fact that the left are known as the people who care for the environment is quite frankly very depressing and sad to me because, look, I care about the environment. Do not think for 1 second that I don't care about the environment. I do. The problem is, when I look at the quote, climate science and all this kind of stuff they're talking about, the real issues that affect the endangered animals, that affect the reduced habitats that we're finding around the world, when we're finding how corporations are dumping toxic waste, or they're dumping the oil spills are happening, or they're throwing plastic in the ocean. These things actually bother me. But I have to listen to the con artists talk about climate change before they get rid of the actual issues that affect animals that I have a very soft spot in my heart for. And it makes me sick. So here's what we're going to do here's what I want to do for you today. I know there are probably those of you in the audience who are going to be like, oh, He doesn't believe in climate change? Well, then he must be a moron. In fact, I guarantee you he voted for Trump, and I'll tell you something else. I guarantee you he's probably some knuckle-dragging Republican. Well, first of all, I don't know about this knuckle-dragging business. I mean, just because humans are descended from monkeys doesn't mean I have to do that. But the other thing is, no, I'm actually not a Republican. I'm an independent. But speaking of independence, you know what I'm gonna show for you? Look. For those of you who don't know what actual science is, here it is. Don't worry, this did not come from the Pope. This did not come from Greta Thunberg. This didn't come from any of them. This didn't come from Al Gorleone. No, it didn't come from any of them. This actually came from real science. I know. Real science actually exists? I know, crazy. But the reason I really want to highlight this, all joking aside, is in the speech that Ike gave, Eisenhower, the speech he gave about the funding of the federal government to the universities and to the academics, it's very alarming. The line before that, before he discusses that, is about the military-industrial complex. You might have heard of that because of the Ukraine war. Maybe you listened to my show. I've talked about it. Other political commentators have discussed this issue at length. But something people have not talked a lot about is the issue of the Vostok Ice Core samples. Now, what I'm going to provide for you today is actual data. As a .gov at it for those of you who want to say that the science is in. The science. Listen to the science. The science. I'll read you some actual science. Not Bill Nye the Science Guy, that schmuck bum. Here's what we're going to listen to. Here's what we're going to actually talk about here. Here it is. In January of 1998, the collaborative ice drilling project between Russia... Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot. Russian scientists were in this. Now, I know right away all of the fake liberals who are actually commies are going to be like, Russia. Oh, you know that it's fake. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know it must be fake. Because everybody knows. If you listen to Joe Biden, the prophet of our time, he told us how Putin's evil. He's no good. Russia, no good. Can't listen to them. They're all liars. They don't actually give anything real. It's all fake. You know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Except it's actually wrong. But here's what we're gonna do. Let me ask you: who do you believe more, me or CNN? Because CNN seems to think that Russia is all things bad. But I'm not gonna devolve into the Ukraine war thing right now. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Every day, it's more about this amount of people were slain in this battle, and I can't take it anymore. Look, we're not gonna go into that today. I'm not doing it. So here's what we're gonna do instead. We're gonna read this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, because if I read the whole thing, you're probably going to turn the show off because you don't know how to read scientific data. Well, I do. So here's what we're going to do. It says, in January of 1998, the collaborative ice drilling project between Russia, the United States, and France at Russian Vostok Station in eastern Antarctica. They actually went to Antarctica to drill. They didn't just walk outside and say it's hot and, oh no, I looked on the internet and there was some polar bear on an ice floe. The world must be coming to an end. Oh. It says, oh, look, they yielded the deepest ice core samples ever recovered. Oh, you hear that? You hear that, Bill Nye? You hear that? You climate change morons? Reaching a depth of 3,623 meters. That's about 10,000 feet for you, those of you who can't do math. That's a very long, over 10,000 feet. Let's see, what else do I want to read from this study? Here it is. It says, reporting that the age difference between the air and the ice may be up to 6,000 years during the coldest period instead of 4,000 years. In other words, these samples are very, very, very old. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to read you what they came up with because I don't want to lose the forest for the trees. Here it is. The analytical system, except for the stainless steel container in which the ice was crushed, was calibrated for each ice sample measurement with a standard mixture of CO2, that's carbon dioxide, and nitrogen and oxygen. For further details on the experimental procedures and the dating of the successive ice layers at Lake Vostok, see extra research, and extra research. Okay, great. All right. Let's get down to business. What does all this actually say? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Here it is. There is a close correlation between Antarctic temperature, and atmospheric concentration of CO2. All right, let's jump into it more. The extension of the Vostok CO2 record shows that the main trend of CO2 are similar for each glacial cycle. What does that mean? It means CO2 stays pretty constant. Main trends of CO2, it means that the trends are pretty consistent. Main transitions from the lowest to the highest values are associated with glacial, interglacial transitions. Okay, let's keep going down. I don't need to get into losing the forest for the trees. Here we go. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Get your tape recorders out. Remember this, because you will not hear this talked about on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News. You won't hear this discussed. Too much money to be made in the Green Mafia talking about how to control your energy. Here it is. You ready? Here it is. According to the research, they cite the two people who did the study. I don't know how to pronounce their names, honestly. Pettit, I think, and Bonlona. These measurements indicate, that is, the Vostok Ice Core samples taken from Lake Vostok in Antarctica. These measurements indicate that at the beginning of the deglaciations, in other words, when the ice was melting, the CO2 increase either was in phase or lagged by less than 1,000 years with respect to the Antarctic temperature, whereas it clearly lagged behind the temperature at the onset of the glaciations. What does that mean? It means that the CO2 followed the change in temperature. It did not come first. It lagged behind by less than 1,000 years. What does that mean? It means that the global warming, climate change people are liars when they tell you that that because of all the CO2 that we're actually going to increase the temperature. No, schmuck, the opposite is true. The opposite is true. The temperature change is happening, and that the CO2 levels that are increasing as a result of the temperature increase or decrease, not as a result of, it's lagging behind, it's not coming before. That makes sense? You see what I'm saying? Or did I lose you? Did I make too much sense to where your brain couldn't handle it? My friends, this topples the whole house of cards. This brings everything down from their argument. Again, the deepest samples they have found, and this is what they found, and that they have you believe the exact opposite is true. Now, again, I actually do care about the environment. I'm not one of those pigs who says, yeah, bulldoze those trees. Yeah, get those animals and poison that water. Yeah, bring me my cigar. Yeah, go kill those dang animals. I want my $5. No, I'm not that guy. I don't want any of that to happen. Here's a problem, though. A lot of the resources are going to care about this fake con of global warming and climate change instead of going to saving the habitats of these hopeless animals. Where is that conversation? Answer, I don't know. Do you? I haven't seen it talked about. All I hear about is climate change. I don't hear about saving the habitats, helping the animals, protecting the ocean. I don't hear anything about this. Do you? I'd be in there helping. I mean, if they were, I'd be doing a show about praising them for helping the environment. But instead, they'd rather try to fleece you for more money. Try to get the government to steal more of your money so they can give it to them. That's the problem. And look, even if the United States, okay, I can already hear you asking the question. But Austin, they say that 99% of scientists agree about climate change. Hello, yes, you in the back asking the question. It's a very good question. That's why I played the speech of Eisenhower at the beginning of the show, it was because he talked about how the federal government is funding a lot of this research so the federal government can get more money by adding in more taxes on corporations and on people because of climate change. Do you really think they're not going to look for a certain result? No, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? No, you don't know what I'm talking about. I can already look. I have a stethoscope for this. I can already tell this is over your head. You're not willing to accept it, even though you know what everything I just said is factually true. You know it's true, but you're not willing to accept it. Yes, you listening to the show right now, in the back of your brain, you're like, oh my gosh, is this true? Is this possible? No, this can't be true. No, he must be lying. I gotta look this up right now. I guarantee. Go look it up, please. Please look up the Vostok Ice Core samples. Please look it up. You ever want to know? You want to know why you haven't heard of it? Answer: because they don't want you to hear about it. Because if you did, you might actually look through the fraud going on. Now, does the climate actually change? Yes, it's always changing. Since Adam schnupped Eve, the climate's been changing. Yes, it has. Since the beginning of time, climate has been changing. Yes, but is it man-caused? Not according to what I've read. No, it is not. Now, if someone wants to present me with more research that's not funded by the United States government, I am more than happy to read it. But if it's funded by the United States government, do not send it to me. I don't care. I know the fix is in. That's like asking Arnold Rothstein, the guy who fixed the World Series, to tell you the score beforehand, as if he doesn't already know. Of course he knows. He told you he knows the score. He fixed the whole damn thing. My friends, I care about the environment, and I'm sick and tired of the climate change con sucking all the resources out for the environment. I'm sick of it. Please send this to people who need to hear this, who think that the climate change, global warming is like, it's like their new religion. I know I've met people like this, and it's honestly kind of frightening. Send this to them, please. Do them a favor. It might actually provoke some good conversation. My friends, God bless you for making it this far in the show. If you have anything you want to share with me, any thoughts, comments, concerns, go over to my Twitter handle @SheepGetSheared. Leave it in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble. Well, my friends, in the meantime, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. We're out of here. Peace. God bless you. Have a great weekend.